Hello folks, this is Sarcasting with BS Playtime, and in my opinion, games do a couple things really well, but what they excel at is inspiring people to sort of pick up after a big failure and try again. Now, I've lost a bit of that playing through games in my day. Games simply, they become, the routine, and trying over and over has been something that hasn't really captured my attention after Darksiders until I tried this game, OlliOlli. Now, this is the game that really, it sort of filled the void that I hadn't seen since Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It's the idea that, landing the perfect move and trying over and over again until you get a really cool streak going, it fulfills that perfectly. Now, the difference between this, the major difference between this and Tony Hawk Pro Skater is that this is a 2D side-scrolling skating game, which I haven't really seen too much of. Now, I haven't really looked, but realistically speaking, this game felt far too similar, in my opinion, for a two-dimensional game. It felt very weird how on par it was with the vibe and the nostalgia I got from back in the day. So, what I want to show you today is the game OlliOlli and what it really has to offer and why you should be playing it. So, first of all, I would like to mention the art style. I'm a big fan of pixel art myself. That should definitely be a bias that's taken into consideration. I know a lot of people don't like pixel art and think that it's far too prevalent in games these days, but in my opinion, it's just like any other art style. If you do it well, I don't think it's at all a negative to a game, and I rather prefer it. And OlliOlli does a really good job of meshing modern graphics with the pixel art mentality, where the game itself is pixel art, but it's not so much the strict 16-bit or 32-bit pixel art. It's just pixel art. You have pixely people, yourself, and the environments are rather crisp, whereas the backgrounds are pretty blurred, I guess is the best way to put it, along with the other people in the game that you find when you finish a level. And what this does is it really focuses on what you're currently playing in. The foreground and the background aren't really competing too much, and that's great. The other thing this game does really well as far as graphics go is the animations. The animations, they feel good. It feels really good to, land that perfect landing, and when you mess up just like that, it feels kind of sickening, the crunching and the spinning and how your clothes tear up. I think they did an excellent job with transmitting the feeling of the game through its graphics. They made a good choice. They didn't simply choose to go pixel art and apply it to the game. They sort of adapted the art mentality to the game, which is what people should be doing. In my opinion, as good or bad as your graphics are in your game, they should amplify the gameplay, not simply be there along with the gameplay. Now, something else this game does really well is the idea that rhythm means a lot. So the more I play this game, the more I realize that it gives me the vibe of games that aren't even in the same genre, to be honest. It gives me the vibe of rhythm music games. Now, I'm a big fan of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and those games, they fill the niche that isn't filled by most games. It's the idea that you build on your rhythm, and the more you hit in a row, the better you feel. And this game fulfilled that for me, which, having that in a pseudo-sports related title is kind of a new thing for me. The idea that if I missed a crucial landing, or if I missed a move I was trying to make, it threw me off, much like missing a note in Rock Band or Guitar Hero would. The rhythm of the game, the flow of the game is very important, and not a lot of games really focus on flow these days. The idea that, being one with the game, feeling the controls, being a vibe, per se, and going through the game, reacting to the game, and not so much inputting into the game, is something that people have really removed themselves from outside of the music rhythm genre, which, you know, for a while there was dead. It just now came back recently with Guitar Hero Live, I believe it's called, and Rock Band 4. And this game, I'm not sure, I think it came out maybe a year and a half ago. It's a really a bright spot in a void that gaming has right now that it's not filled by much. So OlliOlli is a game where you simply skate from one side of the screen to the other. It's kind of like it's a time-based game, realistically speaking. You can't control your speed too much other than not pushing your skateboard along and not choosing to do all the impressive grinds, but you have to meet a certain metric for how fast you go. So it's not so much a puzzle-solving game as it is a action response game that involves some very precarious timing, and at least as far as I've experienced, the more you mess up, the more it messes up the flow of the game. Now, we all know I'm a big fan of indie games, and this game really it tickled me because I'm not usually involved in this kind of gameplay. Tony Hawk Pro Skater was the last skate-based game I play, and one of the few quote-unquote sports-related games I play. So, when I tell you that you should give your time to OlliOlli, take that from a perspective of someone who loves indie games, who loves the pixel art graphics, and who realistically is intrigued by the game as a whole and not just for the subject matter that it shows. Honestly, I was never a skater in high school, and this game offers something that I believe transcends its simple thematic setting and really applies gameplay, art, and music together to create a rhythm and flow-based experience that simply is really hard to find nowadays in the game market. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you OlliOlli, and for what it's worth, I think you should spend some time with it. Have a good day, folks. Thanks for dropping by.